Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor, the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app, Red Circle, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and turn the notifications on. We got more than just Heat content there. Same is true for FiveReasonsSports.com. Spell that one out. We do not have a paywall. And check out a great new sponsor of the Five Reasons Sports Network, but this has been a long-time successful business. It's called Ocean's Finest. You can find them at oceansfinest.com. More than 40 years of providing the finest seafoods to the high-end cruise line industry and five-star dining establishments alike. Ocean's Finest now offers the same superior quality seafoods right to your door. Family-owned and based out of Miami for more than 4 decades. They carry the best variety of premium seafoods from jumbo shrimp and large snow crab legs to individually vacuum-packed beautiful portions of Atlantic salmon, mahi-mahi, ahi tuna, and more that allow you to eat as you go while remaining fresh for longer. Perfect for summer barbecues and parties, and make the ultimate Father's Day gift for dad. And here's the cool thing. If you order now, you will have it by Father's Day, okay? Free next-day delivery is available on most orders, okay? So check them out at oceansfinest.com, your seafood source. Perfect for those looking to live that healthier lifestyle without sacrificing flavor. Go to oceansfinest.com and use the code 5RSN. That's the number 5RSN. That's our product code for 20% off now through Father's Day. Again, that's oceansfinest.com, your seafood source. And now, today's episode.
Down the Biscayne. Yikes. Five on the floor. Ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing. You can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars. Wearing bubble frogs. Just like Butler said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the floor playing. Got it all band. Y'all seen the block. Stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, it's power, have the guts. We're here to bring the heat. Y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, and Alex Toledo, plus others from the Five Reasons Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to Five on the Floor. Thanks to our guy Mercy for the theme song. We saw him out at the watch party last night at Tropical Distillers. Had a real good crowd there. Obviously, things didn't go the way that most there, well, actually all there wanted it to go, but still it was a good time. We appreciate them for hosting, and also You Break, We'll Fix. We'll mention them a little bit later in the show for sponsoring. But look, we are sort of in that transition stage right now. Like, this is a little bit of a hangover day. Kind of wake up and there's no game. There's no more games to talk about until we get to Summer League. We're talking a lot about another Nikola Jovic instead of Jokic in about 2 or 3 weeks. But we are not quite at the point where we're going to pivot to the draft covers. That's likely going to happen tomorrow or the next day. If you follow Off the Floor, which is our subscriber feed, we'll be providing a lot of exclusive content there. We're not going to be putting most of that stuff on Twitter. So make sure that you subscribe to Off the Floor. You get the latest on workouts, players that the Heat like, etc. We do want to do a little bit of looking back today. And I mean, we're going to do a moments episode, and there are a lot that obviously we could go over. Game 4 against Milwaukee. What I realized when I posted that tweet today, guys, is like right now, I don't remember anything. Like I don't, like I was trying to think Game 4 Milwaukee, what happened? Like, oh, that's right. That was Jimmy took the game over to me. Like, it's all a blur. Like in about 2 weeks, I'll start to process it again. But right now I don't. So we're going to go a little bit bigger picture here and we're going to pick 3 lessons from this season. And we have not, as usual, we've not prepped. So each of us is going to choose one. And this time, so that Alice can't complain that I always get the good one, I'm going to go last. Okay, so the floor is open. The floor is yours, as we say here on the Five on the Floor, on the Five Reasons Sports Network. And Alex, I'm going to go to you first. Give me a lesson from this season.
Well, I guess I'm going to try to tread lightly here because I have a feeling I know what Leafs is. I know he had one ready, so I'm going to try to see if I can kind of go around it. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling I know what it is. So what I'm going to say is, oh my God, how do I not step on Leif's toes here?
Hey, if you say it, I'll come up with another one. That's the beauty of this show. We're versatile. Just spit what's off the top of the dome.
Okay, fine. It's tough because I thought Leif was going to go first, but you know what it is, man? To me, the Jimmy and Bam core is certified. Is that where you were going to go? Yeah, Leif is confirming. Yeah, I mean, look, man, they're 4 years of the Jimmy Butler era, 2 finals appearances, 1 shot away from a third. The Jimmy and Bam core is certified. It hasn't looked exactly the same every time in all these runs, but that part to me it's just kind of you can't question it anymore. the way that it ended with Jimmy playing on one ankle and clearly not looking like himself was just sad to see after the way that last year played out with multiple guys being banged up, after the way that the 2020 bubble played out with Goran and Bam missing time in the finals, not getting them until it was too late and they were still not ready. Those recurring themes of this team have been, painful to deal with. But the fact of the matter is they keep getting there. They keep getting far with this core. And if I would have told you, like any of you guys, when they got Jimmy Butler, that they, 4 years in, you have 2 finals appearances and, conference finals game 7, again, one shot away from another one. Like, that's an outstanding success. There's no doubt about it. So for that part, I feel, you got to have some solace there. You got to find a way to make it easier on them. The role players that got you there this time, a lot of them had great moments throughout this playoff run. A lot of them kind of shut most of us up, and especially me, because I thought they were out in the first round with the way that the year played out. So again, all of this is gravy. They shut me up. The Jimmy and Bam core is certified. You probably bring some of these guys back, the role players who helped you get here. We know which ones are free agents. We know what their cap and tax situation is. So a lot of this is going to be easier said than done. But I think now it's really just about retooling around this core. You know who's good. You know what's gotten you there. How do you find a way to finally land that championship? Is it just based on getting another star, which it feels like, maybe this summer is going to be about once again, just like last summer? Or is it just about retooling and trying to see if you can land a couple of two-way veteran players, something like that can help you get to that, to your goal? But to me, that's the ultimate lesson learned from all of this. Spo is certified. Jimmy and Bam are certified. And some of these role players too, like for what they are, they did a great job, man. It was just a great run. And it's really hard to take away more than that.
Greg, is that yours? Because I have a feeling I know what yours is going to be, and I feel like it's an offshoot of that, but it's not exactly that.
It's an offshoot. It's leaning in that direction, so it's good. We're, again, a cohesive unit. By the end of the season, look at us finding our chemistry.
Oh,
I'll
throw it off. Heat. Trust me, I'll throw it off.
Yeah, you will throw it off and say something completely different. This is what I'm going to say. To the point of Jimmy and Bam being certified, this is a situation where now you have a team that there is absolutely no reason, no excuse, nothing you can say to try to rationalize not going all in for this group. Plain and simple. I don't know what that means and what that looks like yet. And it's going to involve spending, but you cannot look the fan base in the face and say, we are all about winning. And the main thing is the main thing. If you do not spend pretty damn close to that second tax threshold and surround these guys with the utmost talent. I'm not saying go drunk shopping and get guys that are not worth the money for long deals, nothing like that. You have to get super creative, but I've never came away like last year. We thought they had to make a bunch of moves and they proved us all wrong because they were very sedentary with the movements. And ultimately they ended right back in the finals. That's not going to cut it this time around. And to see Jimmy and Bam play to that level, I just feel like they owe it to this build. They owe it to this fan base. They owe it to Eric Spoelstra, who's having to just do absolutely crazy things that no head coach should be asked to do what he does. It's time to give those guys a little bit more tools in the toolbox. And that's what I've learned is that when you're this close, you never know when you'll get that close again. It may never happen again. Many organizations can tell you that tale, so go all in.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at organizations that have gotten cheap when they've won the championship, like the Dallas Mavericks in 2011, not bringing Tyson Chandler back, or the amnesty of Mike Miller after the 2013 championship. We saw Mike at the arena the other day. I said this, and I don't know. Look, I don't know Mickey's finances, I'm not his bookkeeper. I'm not his accountant. But to me, the most important upgrade of the day the other day was not Tyler Hero. It was CCL stock. because it went up 9% in a day, and it's now over $14, almost $15 from down at a low of about 8 or 9 when it was at 52. I don't know how that affects the process, but it can't be a bad thing. Okay, that's the way that I would look at it. That was more important than the upgrade of Tyler Hero. I'm going to go a slightly different direction when I come back from the break, but I agree with both of your points here. I don't know how anybody can make a case that you can't win with Bam and Jimmy as your two best players when you've just literally won the East 2 out of 3 years, 2 out of 4 years, and could have won it 3 out of 4 years. You've essentially validated the bubble run now with the two of them, which was, again, one of those questions. And you've kind of thrown out the second year because now we know that when they get full rest in the offseason, they go to the finals or get damn close. So, look, even if it looks clunky at times, and we've talked about it, even if their chemistry is not the purest of sort of top two players, even if you don't have a three-point shooter among the two of them, and no, Bam is not going to be a three-point shooter next year, just like he wasn't one this year, okay? It's validated. I'm with you on that. And then I also agree with you on the spending. And you cannot make an excuse. Look, they save money with towels, right? That when you wash them, all the lettering comes off. So there ought to be a little bit left there in the kitty.
They stayed under the tax this year, Ethan.
Right. They stayed under the tax, and they got, in a lot of ways, sort of lucky. Because if again, not just Spoelstra pulling a rabbit out of his hat, and by the way, that didn't happen during the 82-game season. It happened after. But really, the last 3 minutes against Chicago in the play-in game saved everything. If you don't do that, then none of the rest of that happens. None of it becomes part of history. And then essentially you are getting killed for not spending any money and not making significant changes this offseason. So that's kind of where we're at. But when we come back, I've got another one on this. And it's more instructive to me for the fan base than it is necessary for the front office. Because I think the front office has to understand that at this point. And running it back will go very wrong this time if with the fan base, if that's all. If they don't get Jimmy and Bam some help, because I think one of the things we've seen is you never know when one of your top two players is going to get dinged up. And we saw that with Jimmy. We saw it with Bam in 2020. We saw it with Dragic in 2020. You have to have somebody else. And again, we're forgetting this. We saw it with Tyler this postseason. You can never have enough. Yeah, I mean, you can never have enough. And look, the case is going to be made to some degree that Denver didn't sort of overspend and all the rest of that. But Golden State did the year before. And typically it is the way that you have to do things to win a title. I mean, that's just the nature of the business here. So I do want to mention another sponsor. I mentioned them already, youbreakwheelfix.com. Check them out. Our guy Mark was out there at the event last night. He had all the wheels set up. He had the car set up in the front. And we know not only can, your wheels get damaged here in South Florida. I mean, look at the rain today and everything that goes along with that. But of course, you may just want it to look nicer. So you can do the refinishing, the polishing, powder coating, all that stuff in North Miami, just right around Aventura at youbreakwheelfix.com. Again, youbreakwheelfix. Check them out on Instagram at youbreakwheelfix. And again, if you mention 5 Reasons to Mark and the team down there, he had a bunch of people who work at his shop there last night at Tropical Distillers, you will get a discount on your overall order. So check him out. This is one of our most loyal sponsors since the beginning. Great guy. Hung out with him last night. Again, youbreakwheelfix.com. And they all stayed till the end too, which we appreciated. So here's my thing. This is more instructive for the fan base. There are no absolutes. Okay, this was like a year of absolutes with the fan base. Like, Duncan Robinson is worthless. Okay, I even went in on the Kyle Lowry thing. If you give, like, this coach enough time, he will find value in just about everyone. And so it is not as simple as saying this guy can't help you, because he might be able to help you, but maybe not in the role that you initially envisioned. So nobody is going to say that either the Duncan Robinson or Kyle Lowry contracts were good contracts for this organization, regardless of what happened in the playoffs, okay? But you can say that Kyle Lowry did accept a roll off the bench and was an integral contributor in them getting to where they got to. And Duncan Robinson, bless his heart, I mean, did more in the postseason than I think any of the three of us anticipated he would do, and also showed a mental toughness, I think, that maybe we didn't think he had in him, to be able to sort of overcome all the slights, the slings, the arrows, but also the inconsistent playing time, the lack of belief in him, to really become, their most consistent three-point shooter in the postseason. And so I think we've got to take that forward as we talk about Max Strus, about Gabe Vincent. All of these guys can help them in some way. We've seen that. The question is what you pay for it. And the question is what you pay for it in the context, as we start to move to the money season here, in the context of what you want to pay overall. Okay. If they decide to move on from Tyler Hero this offseason, okay, it's not going to be because they don't think Tyler can help them. It's going to be because they need somebody that can consistently give them right now what maybe Tyler can give them in another situation, or maybe in this situation in 2 years. They are firmly in the Jimmy Butler window right now. And this thing that came up that you can't, I don't know who said this, one of the reporters or one of the national guys, that now you can't win a championship with Jimmy Butler as your number one. I mean, they literally have come as close to possibly doing that as you can. And anybody who watched him the past 2 weeks could tell he wasn't the same player. Again,
I mean, they're the most successful team in the Jimmy era, right? Like,
right.
Do I have that wrong?
No, and there's only about a dozen guys over the past 25 years who've been the best player on a championship team. Like, literally, like Tim Duncan was like 3 or 4 times. Dwayne, LeBron, Kobe, Shaq. It's Kawhi. It's a very short list. Like, and now Jokic. Okay, Jimmy has been this close to doing that, and of the guys who were close, he's the one who's been back twice and almost 3 times. So my thing is this. Okay, Jimmy can win a championship. Okay, he needs the right pieces around him. We've talked about it. They need to get him to the finish line. The other thing is, for the fans, no absolute should be drawn from a regular season next year in which it's absolutely abundantly clear that the Heat are probably not going to give a damn through large pockets of it, which is going to make it very stressful for us. Okay?
Unless it's a brand new team that they have to acclimate.
Well, it could, but that may take some time to gel too. That sometimes happens, but I do think that would energize it a little bit. But I think that the method of Jimmy playing 60 games, playing 32, 33 minutes a night, which frustrates me, but whatever. And, times of the year where he doesn't seem like he's really turning it on. That is the formula for him. And it was going to work until Josh Hart took out his ankle. And that's really where we're at right now. And so as Alex shakes his head, because I think it's a clear demarcation point. I mean, was it 13 of the last 14 or 12 of the last 13 that he shot under 50%? And the worst was in the last one. Okay. So my thing is this. The fan base, I think, needs to be patient, but also pressure. Can you do both? In other words, I do think it's relevant to pressure, not the front. This is not about the front office, ownership to spend. Okay. Because this fan base rallied behind this team in a way that it really didn't deserve in the regular season, but came to that in the postseason. And this fan base deserves to be rewarded. I'm sorry, rewarded. So I'm with you on that. They need the pressure. But I think they're going to need to be somewhat patient with the process, particularly during the regular season. And don't assume that a guy's not helping you in this spot can't help you somewhere else later on. The Heat had a vision for Kevin Love when he came in. The first couple weeks were shaky. We did podcasts about the Love-Bam connection, and it didn't work. Well, what did Spoelstra turn back to in the finals? Love and Bam in the starting lineup. And so, again, I think that this has been instructive for us. I think we drew a lot of conclusions during the season. We buried certain guys, Lowry and Robinson in particular, who maybe didn't deserve to be buried. I think there were some things that we were right about. Gabe Vincent as a starter is something that I was pushing for a while. That turned out that it worked. And then obviously, I think we all liked Caleb Martin over PJ Tucker if they had to make a decision. And that one worked out too. And credit to them for that. But I just think the fan base on Twitter in particular is at this point where it's either trade everyone or keep everyone. And there is a place in between. And that is, as we go through the memories of this season and what they accomplished, they beat 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that everybody believed were better than them. And I give them enormous credit for that. And the Knicks series, most of the national media believed they were better too. They just ran into a team that, honestly, I don't think anybody was beating this year. And to me, it goes back to the 2014 Spurs. It's the same kind of scenario. They had that kind of run through the postseason. People are trying to diminish what the Nuggets did because they played an 8 seed in the playoffs, but that 8 seed beat the 2 teams that the Nuggets were supposed to be paired with in the finals, the Bucks and the Celtics.
Well, they did beat 2 8 seeds and a 7 seed, just to be
they
fair.
Did, but the other 8 seed had LeBron James on it.
Yeah.
And
I'm just being annoying.
And now, after the fact, it's being diminished by saying, well, Phoenix was a mess. But Okay, fine. Phoenix had injuries, but also everybody was anointing Phoenix the champions when they got Durant to pair with Booker. And as far as I know, those guys were on the court.
Winning
Okay,
is so damn hard. People are ridiculous. It's so damn hard.
To win 4 series in that league, and we're looking at it with the NHL right now with the Panthers, and what you have to do, particularly in the Heat's case, where you had to start all 4 series on the road. Okay, but I'm going to give Denver credit, even though they started all their series at home. Okay, they're a worthy champion. The Heat ran into a better team, but I think they have to look at it now and say, okay, we need as much ammunition as we can possibly get for those kind of situations. We have a Hall of Fame coach in his prime. We've got a Hall of Fame player who's kind of edging towards the back end of his prime, but can still provide those moments. We've got a two-way center that no matter what many Heat fans think, and sometimes we have frustrations with him as well, I thought proved his worth in the finals, okay, and many other times this season. And again, they have a developmental program where maybe if Jovic is still here, he pops next year. Maybe some of these other guys do get better internally. Look at the growth in Caleb Martin from one year to the next. Look at the work that they're going to put in over the offseason. So my overall point is there should be pressure on ownership to spend. Absolutely. But there should be some patience with the process that I don't think that the majority of fans, and honestly, podcasters, us included, gave them this year. And that's kind of where I close it. Check out oceansfinest.com. Check out youbreakwheelfix.com. And again, Prize Picks, we're going to keep mentioning it. Just because the NBA is over with doesn't mean you can't play it. Stanley Cup Finals, MLB, boxing,
WNBA,
MMA, WNBA. We're actually going to start doing some more WNBA here on the network as well. We're going to have a bunch of draft podcasts coming up too, so I have to actually learn some of the players' names. I'm going to probably stay out of the way on most of that. Let Greg handle it. It's not my season, but once we get closer, I'll start to zero in on the 2 or 3 guys we start to talk about. Oceansfinest.com, youbreakwheelfix.com. And again, since I couldn't do it yesterday, I want to thank everybody for following us the entire season. We had our best year in terms of downloads, everything else, plus YouTube, plus Off the Floor, plus playback, plus, I mean, you guys are incredible. And the coolest thing for me is, I said this today on Facebook, the coolest thing for me is going not just to the Heat's arena, but other arenas and having people come up and say, hey, I like Greg. I like that Greg was pushing for the team, or tell Alex to get a real handle, or any of that kind of stuff. I don't mean a basketball handle, but a Twitter handle, or
we know you're the only one who feels that way.
I'm just saying that because I want it to happen,
they're all actually coming up to you and saying, "Can I meet Brady Hawk and get his
That's
autograph?"
exactly what they said. That's exactly, but I wasn't going to do that because I don't need his head to swell, so we're not going to do that anymore. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Regional Sports Network.